Chapter 1, Canto 1. Vajrasrivasa performed the Visvajit sacrifice, in which the ritual called for giving away all his possessions. Sacrifices, particularly those involving renunciation and donation, are meant to embody selflessness and devotion. However, Vajrasrivasa's sacrifice was lacking in true renunciation. His intention seemed to be more about seeking worldly rewards than following the path of true Dharma. During this sacrifice, he gave away his entire wealth, but the offerings were not the best or most useful. Instead, he gave away old, weak, and useless cows, those that could no longer drink, eat, give milk, or produce offspring. This was not a true act of generosity or sacrifice, but an act that lacked genuine value. Nachiketa, his son, was a wise and thoughtful child. When he saw his father's offerings, he reflected deeply on the nature of such gifts. With great sincerity, he thought to himself that anyone who gives away such cows, useless and devoid of vitality, would surely go to realms that are devoid of joy, places where no true happiness exists. Nachiketa recognized that this act of donation was not in line with the true purpose of sacrifice, which is to give with devotion and wisdom, and not merely for gaining worldly results. Nachiketa, driven by his deep faith and understanding, approached his father and asked, "Father, whom will you give me to?" This question was not posed out of childish curiosity, but rather with a profound awareness that the donation being made by his father was not righteous. He asked the same question 3 times, each time pressing his father to answer. Finally, in a fit of anger, Vajrasrivasa, unable to tolerate his son's persistent questioning, said, "I give you to death." These words, spoken in anger, were significant because in the context of the Vedic tradition, once a word is spoken, it cannot be retracted. Thus, this declaration was not just an angry outburst, but a powerful reality that Nachiketa would soon confront. However, Nachiketa, far from being frightened by the mention of death, began to think deeply about its true nature. He reflected on the statement his father had made and considered the profound implications of being given to death. Nachiketa understood that he was being sent on a journey that would lead him to a deeper understanding of the nature of life and death. He did not fear death, but instead wished to understand it. To him, death was not the end, but a gateway to understanding the eternal truth. This was the beginning of his quest for spiritual knowledge. Nachiketa further expressed his reflections, saying, "Among many, I am the first, or I am the middlemost, but I will never be the last. What then is the true purpose of my father's gift of me to death?" In other words, he questioned the meaning of being given to death when he was still so full of potential and purpose. He realized that his life was not merely for worldly purposes, but to seek the ultimate truth. If he were to be given to death, he desired to learn about the nature of existence and the soul. Nachiketa then pondered over the idea of life and death with a wider perspective. He said, "Look back at those who have come before us, and observe those who are now among us. Just as the corn ripens and is harvested, so too does the mortal being experience birth and death, only to rise again in another form." This statement reflects Nachiketa's deep understanding of the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth. He recognized that life and death were not opposing forces, but part of a continuous cycle, where one phase naturally transitions into the next. In his reflections, Nachiketa also referred to the practice of hospitality, likening it to the role of death itself. Just as a guest, especially a Brahmin guest, is received with honor and given water and shelter by the householder, so too should death be treated with reverence. If the householder fails to honor the guest by offering food and comfort, his hopes, merits, and everything he has, his family, his wealth, and his good deeds, will be destroyed. By this analogy, Nachiketa emphasized the importance of understanding and honoring death as a natural part of life, not as something to be feared or avoided. Yama said to Nachiketa, "O Brahmin, salutations to you. You are a revered guest, and you have spent 3 nights in my home without eating. Therefore, Now choose 3 boons, one for each night, O Brahmin. My best wishes are with you. Nachiketa said, O death, may my father Gautama be filled with peace and happiness. May he not be angry with me, and may he recognize me when I am sent back home by you. This is my first boon. Yama said, by my blessings, your father, Autalaka Aruni, will recognize you and love you as he did before. When he sees you freed from the jaws of death, he will sleep peacefully at night and hold no anger against me. Nachiketa said, in heaven there is no fear. There is no fear of aging, nor is there any hunger or thirst. The one who lives in heaven is free from grief and rejoices. Nachiketa said to Yama, O death, you know the fire that leads to heaven. Explain to me that fire which takes those whose world is heaven to immortality. I wish to receive this as my second boon. Yama replied, I will give you knowledge of the fire that leads to heaven. Listen, this fire is the means to attain heaven. It is the foundation of the universe and is hidden in the hearts of the wise. Yama said, this fire, which is the source of the worlds, is now before you. I will tell you which bricks to gather, how many to gather, and how to light the fire. Nachiketa also repeated all the methods as Yama had instructed. Then Yama, pleased with him, said, now, I will give you another boon. This fire shall be named after you. Accept it as well. Yama said, whoever performs the Nachiketa sacrifice 3 times, fulfills the 3 duties, and is freed from the cycle of birth and death, will attain Brahma knowledge. He will worship the gods and attain peace. Yama then said, the one who knows these 3 boons and performs the Nachiketa sacrifice will break the chains of death, overcome grief, and rejoice in heaven. This, O Nachiketa, is your fire sacrifice, which leads to heaven and which you have chosen as your second boon. People will call this fire by your name. Now, O Nachiketa, choose the third boon. Nachiketa said, there is this doubt about a man when he dies. Some say that he exists, others say that he does not. I would like to know this, taught by you. This is the third of my boons. Yama said, even the gods had doubts about this matter in the past. It is not easy to understand. The nature of the Atman is subtle. Choose another boon. O Nachiketa, do not press me further. Release me from that boon. Nachiketa said, O death, even the gods had their doubts on this subject, and you have declared it to be difficult to understand. But there is no other teacher like you, and no other boon is comparable to this one. Yama said, you may choose sons and grandsons who will live 100 years. You may choose elephants, horses, herds of cattle, and gold. You may choose a vast domain on earth. Live here as many years as you desire. Nachiketa said, if you deem any other boon equal to that, choose it. Choose wealth and a long life. Be the king, O Nachiketa, of the wide earth. I will make you the enjoyer of all desires. Yama said, whatever desires are difficult to satisfy in this world of mortals, choose them as you wish. These fair maidens, with their chariots and musical instruments, men cannot obtain them. I give them to you, and they shall wait upon you. But do not ask me about death. Nachiketa said, but, O death, these endure only till tomorrow. Furthermore, they exhaust the vigor of all the sense organs. Even the longest life is short indeed. Keep your horses, dances, and songs for yourself. Nachiketa said, wealth can never make a man happy. Moreover, since I have beheld you, I shall certainly obtain wealth. I shall also live as long as you rule. Therefore, no boon will be accepted by me but the one that I have asked. Nachiketa said, among decaying mortals, having approached the undecaying immortals and realizing that his higher needs may be fulfilled by them, would exult in a life that is overlong, after pondering the pleasures arising from beauty and song? Chapter 1, Canto 2. Yama said, the good is one thing, the pleasant another. Both of these, serving different needs, bind a man. It goes well with him who, of the two, takes the good. But he who chooses the pleasant misses the end. Both the good and the pleasant present themselves to a man. The calm soul examines them well and discriminates. Yeah, he prefers the good to the pleasant, but the fool chooses the pleasant out of greed and avarice. O Nachiketa, after pondering well the pleasures that are or seem to he delightful, you have renounced them all. You have not taken the road abounding in wealth, where many men sink. Wide apart and leading to different ends are these two, ignorance and what is known as knowledge. I regard you, O Nachiketa, to be one who desires knowledge, for even many pleasures could not tempt you away. Fools dwelling in darkness, but thinking themselves wise and erudite, go round and round by various tortuous paths, like the blind led by the blind. The hereafter never reveals itself to a person devoid of discrimination, heedless and perplexed by the delusion of wealth. This world alone exists, he thinks, and there is no other. Again and again he comes under my sway. Many there are who do not even hear of Atman, though hearing of him, many do not comprehend. Wonderful is the expounder and rare the hearer. Rare indeed is the experiencer of Atman taught by an able preceptor. Atman, when taught by an inferior person, is not easily comprehended, because it is diversely regarded by disputants. But when it is taught by him who has become one with Atman, there can remain no more doubt about it. Atman is subtler than the subtlest, and not to be known through argument. This knowledge cannot be attained by reasoning. Atman become easy of comprehension, O dearest, when taught by another. You have attained this knowledge now. You are, indeed, a man of true resolve. May we always have an inquirer like you. Yama said, I know that the treasure resulting from action is not eternal. For what is eternal cannot be obtained by the non-eternal. Yet I have performed the Nachiketa sacrifice with the help of non-eternal things and attained this position, which is only relatively eternal. The fulfillment of desires, the foundation of the universe, the rewards of sacrifices, the shore where there is no fear, that which adorable and great, the wide abode and the goal, all this you have seen, and being wise, you have with firm resolve discarded everything. The wise man who, by means of concentration on the self, realizes that ancient, effulgent one, who is hard to be seen, unmanifest, hidden, and who dwells in the booty and rests in the body, he, indeed, leaves joy and sorrow far behind. The mortal who has heard this and comprehended it well, who has separated that Atman, the very soul of Dharma, from all physical objects and has realized the subtle essence, rejoices because he has obtained that which is the cause of rejoicing. The abode of Brahman, I believe, is open for Nachiketa. Nachiketa said, that which you see is other than righteousness and unrighteousness, other than all this cause and effect, other than what has been and what is to be. Tell me that. Yama said, the goal which all the Vedas declare, which all austerities aim at, and which men desire when they lead the life of continence. I will tell you briefly. It is Om. This syllable Om is indeed Brahman. This syllable is the highest. Whosoever knows this syllable obtains all that he desires. This is the best support. This is the highest support. Whosoever knows this support is adored in the world of Brahma. The knowing self is not born. It does not die. It has not sprung from anything. Nothing has sprung from it. Birthless, eternal, everlasting, and ancient, it is not killed when the body is killed. If the killer thinks he kills, and if the killed man thinks he is killed, neither of these apprehend aright. The self kills not, nor is it killed. Atman, smaller than the small, greater than the great, is hidden in the hearts of all living creatures. A man who is free from desires beholds the majesty of the self through tranquility of the senses and the mind, and becomes free from grief. Though sitting still, it travels far. Though lying down, it goes everywhere. Who but myself can know that luminous Atman who rejoices and rejoices not? The wise man, having realized Atman as dwelling within impermanent bodies, but itself bodiless, vast and all-pervading, does not grieve. This Atman cannot be attained by the study of the Vedas, or by intelligence, or by much hearing of sacred books. It is attained by him alone whom it chooses. To such a one, Atman reveals its own form. He who has not first turned away from wickedness, who is not tranquil and subdued, and whose mind is not at peace, cannot attain Atman. It is realized only through the knowledge of reality. Who, then, knows where he is he to whom Brahmins and Kshatriyas are mere food and death itself a condiment. Chapter 1, Canto 3. 2. There are who dwell within the body, in the intellect, the supreme akasa of the heart, enjoying the sure rewards of their own actions. The knowers of Brahman describe them as light and shade, as do those householders who have offered oblations in the 5 fires, and also those who have thrice performed the Nachiketa sacrifice. We know how to perform the Nachiketa sacrifice, which is the bridge for sacrificers, and we know also that supreme, imperishable Brahman, which is sought by those who wish to cross over to the shore where there is no fear. Know the Atman to be the master of the chariot, the body, chariot, the intellect, the charioteer, and the mind, the reins. The senses, they say, are the horses, the objects, the roads. The wise call the Atman united with the body, the senses, and the mind the enjoyer. If the buddhi, being related to a mind that is always distracted, loses its discriminations, then the senses become uncontrolled, like the vicious horses of a charioteer. But if the buddhi, being related to a mind that is always restrained, possesses discrimination, then the senses come under control, like the good horses of a charioteer. If the buddhi, being related to a distracted mind, loses its discrimination and therefore always remains impure, then the embodied soul never attains the goal, but enters into the round of births. But if the buddhi, being related to a mind that is restrained, possesses discrimination and therefore always remains pure, then the embodied soul attains that goal from which he is not born again. A man who has discrimination for his charioteer and holds the reins of the mind firmly reaches the end of the road, and that is the supreme position of Vishnu. Beyond the senses are the rudiments of its objects. Beyond these rudiments is the mind. Beyond the mind is Atman, known as Mahat, great. Beyond the great Atman is the unmanifested. Beyond the unmanifested is the Purva, the cosmic soul. Beyond the Purva, there is nothing. That is the end, that is the final goal. That self hidden in all beings does not shine forth, but it is seen by subtle seers through their one-pointed and subtle intellects. The wise man should merge his speech in his mind, and his mind in his intellect. He should merge his intellect in the cosmic mind, and the cosmic mind in the tranquil self. Arise, awake, approach the great and learn. Like the sharp edge of a razor is that path. So the wise say hard to tread and difficult to cross. Having realized Atman, which is soundless, intangible, formless, undecaying, and likewise tasteless, eternal and odorless. Having realized that which is without beginning and end, beyond the great and unchanging one, is freed from the jaws of death. The wise man who has heard and related the eternal story of Nachiketa, told by death, is adored in the world of Brahman. And he who, practicing self-control, recites the supreme secret in an assembly of Brahmins or at an after-death ceremony, obtains thereby infinite rewards. Yeah, he obtains infinite rewards. Chapter 2, Canto 1. Yama said, the self-existent Supreme Lord inflicted an injury upon the sense organs in creating them with outgoing tendencies. Therefore a man perceives only outer objects with them, and not the inner self. But a calm person, wishing for immortality, beholds the inner self with his eyes closed. Children pursue outer pleasures and fall into the net of widespread death. But calm souls, having known what is unshakable immortality, do not covet any uncertain thing in this world. It is through Atman that one knows form, taste, smell, sounds, touches, and carnal pleasures. Is there anything that remains unknown to Atman? This verily is that. It is through Atman that one perceives all objects in sleep or in the waking state. Having realized the vast, all-pervading Atman, the calm soul does not grieve. He who knows the individual soul, the experiencer of the fruits of action, as Atman, always near and the Lord of the past and the future, will not conceal himself from others. This verily is that. He verily knows Brahman who knows the firstborn, the offspring of austerity, created prior to the waters and dwelling with the elements in the cave of the heart. This verily is that. He verily knows Brahman who knows a deity, the soul of all deities, who was born in the form of prana, who was created with the elements, and who, entering into the heart, abides therein. This verily is that. Agni, hidden in the two fire sticks and well guarded like a child in the womb, by its mother is worshipped day after day, by men who are awake, and by those who offer oblations and the sacrifices. This verily is that, whence the sun rises and whither it goes to set, in whom all the devas are contained, and whom none can ever pass beyond. This verily is that. What is here, the same is there, and what is there, the same is here. He goes from death to death who sees any difference here. By the mind alone is Brahman to be realized. Then one does not see in it any multiplicity whatsoever. He goes from death to death who sees multiplicity in it. This verily is that. The Purusha, of the size of a thumb, dwells in the body. He is the Lord of the past and the future. After knowing him, one does not conceal oneself anymore. This verily is that. The Purusha, of the size of a thumb, is like a flame without smoke. The Lord of the past and the future. He is the same today and tomorrow. This verily is that. As rainwater falling on a mountain peak runs down the rocks in all directions, even so he who sees the attributes as different from Brahman verily runs after them in all directions. As pure water poured into pure water becomes one with it, so also, O Gautama, does the self of the sage who knows. Chapter 2, Canto 2. There is a city with 11 gates belonging to the unborn Atman of undistorted consciousness. He who meditates on him grieves no more. Liberated from the bonds of ignorance, he becomes free. This verily is that. He is the sun dwelling in the bright heavens. He is the air in the inner space. He is the fire dwelling on earth. He is the guest dwelling in the house. He dwells in men, in the gods, in truth, in the sky. He is born in the water, on earth, in the sacrifice on the mountains. He is the true and the great. He it is who sends prana upward and who leads apana downward. All the devas worship that adorable one seated in the middle. When the soul, identified with the body and dwelling in it, is torn away from the body, is freed from it, what then remains? This verily is that. No mortal ever lives by prana, which goes up, nor by apana, which goes down. Men live by something different, on which these two depend. Well then, Gautama, I shall tell you about this profound and eternal Brahman, and also about what happens to the Atman after meeting death. Some jivas enter the womb to be embodied as organic beings, and some go into non-organic matter according to their work and according to their knowledge. He, the Purusha, who remains awake while the sense organs are asleep, shaping one lovely form after another. That indeed is the pure, that is Brahman, and that alone is called the immortal. All worlds are contained in him, and none can pass beyond. This verily is that. As the same non-dual fire, after it has entered the world, becomes different according to whatever it burns, so also the same non-dual Atman, dwelling in all beings, becomes different according to whatever it enters. And it exists also without. As the same non-dual air, after it has entered the world, becomes different according to whatever it enters, so also the same non-dual Atman, dwelling in all beings, becomes different according to whatever it enters. And it exists also without. As the sun, which helps all eyes to see, is not affected by the blemishes of the eyes or of the external things revealed by it, so also the one Atman, dwelling in all beings, is never contaminated by the misery of the world being outside it. There is one supreme ruler, the inmost self of all beings, who makes his one form manifold. Eternal happiness belongs to the wise, who perceive him within themselves, not to others. There is one who is the eternal reality among non-eternal objects, the one truly conscious entity among conscious objects, and who, though non-dual, fulfills the desires of many. Eternal peace belongs to the wise, who perceive him within themselves, not to others. The sages realize that indescribable supreme joy as this is that. How can I realize it? Is it self-luminous? Does it shine brightly or not? The sun does not shine there, nor the moon and the stars, nor these lightnings, not to speak of this fire. He's shining. Everything shines after him. By his light, all this is lighted. Chapter 2, Canto 3. This is that eternal Vatha tree with its root above and branches below. That root, indeed, is called the bright. That is Brahman, and that alone is the immortal. In that all worlds are contained, and none can pass beyond. This verily is that. Whatever there is, the whole universe vibrates, because it has gone forth from Brahman, which exists as its ground. That Brahman is a great terror, like a poised thunderbolt. Those who know it become immortal. From terror of Brahman, fire burns. From terror of it, the sun shines. From terror of it, Indra and Vayu and death, the fifth, run. If a man is able to realize Brahman here, before the falling asunder of his body, then he is liberated. If not, he is embodied again in the created worlds. As in a mirror, so in the buddhi. As in a dream, so in the world of the fathers. As in water, so Brahman is seen in the world of the Gandharvas. As in light and shade, so in the world of Brahma. Having understood that the senses have their separate origin, and that they're distinct from Atman, and also that their rising and setting belong to them alone, a wise man grieves no more. Beyond the senses is the mind. Beyond the mind is the intellect. Higher than the intellect is the great Atman. Higher than the great Atman is the unmanifest. Beyond the unmanifest is the person, all-pervading and imperceptible. Having realized him, the embodied self becomes liberated and attains immortality. His form is not an object of vision. No one beholds him with the eye. One can know him when he is revealed by the intellect free from doubt and by constant meditation. Those who know this become immortal. When the five instruments of knowledge stand still, together with the mind, and when the intellect does not move, that is called the supreme state. This, the firm control of the senses, is what is called yoga. One must then be vigilant, for yoga can be both beneficial and injurious. Atman cannot be attained by speech, by the mind, or by the eye. How can it be realized in any other way than by the affirmation of him who says, He is to be realized first as existence limited by upatis, and then in his true transcendental nature. Of these two aspects, Atman realized as existence leads the knower to the realization of his true nature. When all the desires that dwell in the heart fall away, then the mortal becomes immortal and here attains Brahman. When all the ties of the heart are severed here on earth, then the mortal becomes immortal. This much alone is the teaching. There are 101 arteries of the heart, one of which pierces the crown of the head. Going upward by it, a man at death attains immortality. But when his prana passes out by other arteries, going in different directions, then he is reborn in the world. The Purusha, not larger than a thumb, the inner self, always dwells in the hearts of men. Let a man separate him from his body with steadiness, as one separates the tender stalk from a blade of grass. Let him know that self as the bright, as the immortal, as the bright as the immortal. Having received this wisdom taught by the king of death and the entire process of yoga, Nachiketa became free from impurities and death and attained Brahman. Thus it will be also with any other who knows, in this manner, the inmost self.